Hi everyone, welcome back to GoLocal Live this Tuesday morning here in downtown Providence. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for tuning in for news and politics. And speaking of politics, as we're in the shadow of the Rhode Island State House here, I'd like to welcome on my guest, Jeanine Silversmith. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate it. Here we are on Tuesday. Tomorrow you're going to be up at the State House for a resolution to be heard on environmental education in the school. So explain to us a little bit who came together about this, what you're looking to, both in the language of the resolution, but ultimately see happen, again, through these stakeholders in the state.
Sure. So I am with the Rhode Island Environmental Education Association, or RIA, as we like to call ourselves, and we are a collaborative network of individuals and organizations working to increase environmental literacy in our state. So the individuals that are members are teachers, informal educators, and people just passionate about the environment and environmental education. And we also have organizations like Save the Bay and Norman Bird Sanctuary and others. So we came together because there are no climate change or environmental education legislation on the books in Rhode Island, and we think it's necessary for that to happen.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Again, all those various stakeholders, as you said, have concerns about the future of the environment. So I'm sure, looking at what that curricula might even look like, obviously it's going to differ from the kindergartner up through the 12th grader. But what's your ultimate hope that a student who goes through the school system is exposed to and ends up learning about?
So environmental education can take place in a variety of ways. So first and foremost, we want students to learn outside in their natural environment, and it does not have to be wilderness. It can be outside on a city street. And we want all students to graduate from high school with an understanding of human and environment interaction and how we impact the environment and how the environment impacts us, so that graduates can be civically engaged and make decisions that are not only healthy and good for themselves, but also for their environment around them,
And this is really a first step. It's a resolution. Yes. Now there are legislative champions that want to see this go forth. I know you have it on here if you want to tell us who's behind this.
Sure. So Representative Terry Courtfrian from Portsmouth is the lead sponsor, and Reps Bennett, Donovan, Amore, and Speakman have signed on as co-sponsors. So we're really grateful to them for understanding the importance of climate change education.
Now we do know climate change is charged in the political sphere, if you will. Do you expect to hear from folks that say, well, don't believe in climate change, or we don't need to be forcing an agenda on our students? I'm sure you've heard some of this, both here and nationally as well. What's your response to that?
Sure. So there are some people who don't believe in climate change or who don't value environmental education. The science is solid. I won't even say pretty solid. I almost said pretty solid. It is solid. So if people believe that, that's what they believe. I will offer, though, that environmental education is good for a host of reasons. It's not just about environmental literacy. There have been dozens and dozens of studies over decades that show that academic achievement, including test scores, increase, civic engagement increases, autonomy, leadership skills, critical thinking. I mean, the list goes on and on. So environmental and climate change education is good education, regardless of whether or not you believe in climate change.
Really connects the student to the broader world around them.
Yes, and I will also say that a vast majority of Rhode Island parents and students want climate change to be taught in the schools. Yale University has a climate change program, and I think it's something like 76% of parents in our state want climate change specifically to be taught in schools, and even more than 75%, I think it's 85 or 86% of teachers want to have it taught in schools, even if it's not in their class.
So what does this look like then? Tomorrow you're going to be up there at the State House again, making the case for this resolution along with other supporters as well. If it's approved, what's the next step? How does RIDE approach this?
So there is a number of steps that we can take from here. First and foremost, this alerts the Rhode Island Department of Education that the legislature and the people of Rhode Island want this to feature in our education. And I would offer to RIDE that there is I'll say an army of environmental educators in the state who want to work to support RIDE in this work. So I'm hoping that part of the resolution is for RIDE to assemble a group of stakeholders to work forward from there, and that's for RIDE and the environmental ed community to work through. And I will also add, if I can, that RIDE right now is looking at different curricula across all of the different content areas and deciding which of those is approved for the state, for the school districts in the state to use. And so if we pass this resolution, when we pass this resolution, it will then alert RIDE to pay attention to what curricula have climate and environmental components baked into those curricula.
Because as you raise a good point, this is something that the Assembly had approached and RIDE as well, again, that really aligns statewide curriculum, as you said, across all the subject areas, and this is probably that ideal time to address it as they're looking to move forward. So are you encouraging people to turn out at the State House tomorrow if they support this?
Of course, if you can. The hearing is tomorrow, that's Wednesday. Get to the State House by about 4:45 and sign in and testify, and if you can't be there, or if you don't want to testify, you can submit written testimony, to the chairman of the committee, Chairman McNamara.
Okay, very good. Well, we'll be sure to put the links up to that resolution as well, and we'll be keeping tabs on this and informing you, our viewers here, as to the latest up at the Rhode Island State House. So, Jeanine Silversmith, I'm going to give you the coronavirus elbow bump. Thank you for watching us here this morning on GoLocal Live. We appreciate your tuning in for the latest. If you missed it earlier, coronavirus, we talked with Phil Chan from Brown University, who also works with the Rhode Island Department of Health, and the latest you can find on GoLocal. Another school has closed in East Greenwich. You can find that on golocalprov.com. So we'll continue to update you throughout the day, but thank you again for tuning in and watching us here on Live. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel.